Hello and welcome to It's All Comical for August the 26th, 2021. I'm Russ, your guy in Guam, one last time. I did mention in last week's vlog entry here for It's All Comical that I wasn't sure whether or not last week's would be my last It's All Comical vlog, weekly vlog for a little period of time because as I've already noted in previous entries that thanks to my wife's wonderful opportunities with her job that we're moving from Guam to Misawa, Japan here in the very, very near future. And I wasn't even certain how quick that was going to be. We didn't have final dates on everything as of last week. So, I wasn't sure whether or not I was going to have an opportunity to do another It's All Comical vlog while I was still here in Guam, or if we were actually going to be having to, pack up that quickly. As it turns out, I kind of figured that probably I would be able to do one this week. Different things happened this week, and actually it's August again, I'm sorry, I said 26th. Oh, I'm wrong. 28th. It's Saturday, as it is here in Guam, Saturday the 28th. And I believe it must have therefore been, let's see, so 27th, I guess it was the 20th was the last one. I usually post this on Friday, again, as it is here in Guam. It is actually evening or at nighttime. You can take a look at that real quick. We do things sloppy and real and on the fly and without a whole lot of pre-planning. So back in Dallas, Dallas, it's 9:30, New York, 10:30, Friday night. So this will, in fact, post Friday, late Friday in the continental U.S. So I guess in that regard, I'm still on schedule. But yesterday, this whole week has actually been very, very off track. And as you sort of would expect as people are preparing to make a move, life gets a little out of routine. But it got doubly complicated with pandemic stuff. My son's daycare was shut down midweek because somebody, in a family tree somewhere tested positive, so we weren't sure whether we had an exposure. And when that, this is the second time in a couple of weeks that there was a closure of the daycare because somebody related to somebody tested, so they shut the daycare down, precaution as they should. And disinfect everything and wait for all the test results to come in to see who may potentially have been exposed and whatever. And so they actually got shut down midweek. So I've been with my son all week, which means not much got done in terms of creative writing. Though I was able to do some things as far as submitting some material to various calls for screenplays, etc. But in essence, not a lot of work from Wednesday on, and yesterday, as a matter of fact, my wife was home, and we took care of a lot of things related to the upcoming move. We had a very busy day running around again and doing things, prepping both this place and then, getting materials and things that we needed, and she's looking to, there's some paperwork items that need to be done, things that are really, I've already spent way too much time talking about it, but in essence, you get it. There's a lot of business that goes on in a move, and so yesterday got taken up with that, and I didn't have a chance to do this wonderful piece of business, and I thought I'd just sound that. Sorry about that. Let's see, so where are we? So last week, I wasn't sure. This week we know for sure that our stuff is shipping out. Will be shipped out by the military movers beginning the 30th, and it's like a 3-day sort of event because there are different levels of shipment. There's sort of a small express shipment that goes out first, and a larger shipment that's going to take months on a ship to get to Japan, etc. And we'll be with Loaner Furniture in Misawa for a period of time. And my computer here, I'm going to take sort of extra special care to send it with an express shipment, but I certainly anticipate that I will be without my primary rig for at least a couple of weeks, and of course we're just going to be disorganized and getting things together. So I definitely expect that this will be my last opportunity to vlog on a weekly basis. For a minimum, I'm thinking of 2 weeks. It could be upwards of a month. Who knows, right? Life gets unpredictable. I don't, obviously there's a lot of unknowns. Don't know what life is like on the other side of things. We hear good things. It sounds like there's a lot of groundwork is being laid on our behalf, and that will always be the case. Again, I've talked about when we moved to Guam, here to Guam from Texas, this is the very first port of call, if you will, the very first station. This is my wife's first job opportunity within the Department of Defense Education Administration, and when we came here, it was with the idea that she was going to pursue opportunities here, or just maybe even just stay with her same job. It really depended, but it was a good opportunity to continue for her in education. To take advantage of her lengthy career and a strong resume to get this opportunity for us to be able to live in an exotic place, and it's a story that kind of writes itself. I think we came here with all the expectations that people have, and like, hey, we're going to go live on a tropical island and maybe for a decade or so. As it turns out, she came to realize that there were opportunities that were available if we were willing to be, flexible about moving around, and that's a different thing, right? I mean, there's certainly one sort of dream that people can have is living on a beautiful tropical island and being able to go to the beach on the daily and all year long, which is available here in Guam. A very sort of laid-back, idyllic lifestyle in that regard, and then there's the dream of being a world traveler and sort of getting to see the world and seeing the world while you're taking care of your family, which my wife is doing an amazing, wonderful job doing, and affording me the opportunity to pursue my passions in writing and communication. That's a dream too, and we're very excited about that. So it took a little bit of a shift of mindset. I talked about that, that I think originally when she was talking about hey, people in DODEA, as it's known, Department of Defense Education Administration, they're sort of very open-minded. They're very world-traveling sorts of folk, and people don't stay in a spot forever. And I didn't realize that she wasn't just talking sort of idly. She was really sort of, the wheels were going in her mind that, this is something that she was thinking about doing and was sort of feeling me out about. So, I think originally I was sort of very set on the idea that, we had made a big jump to come to Guam, and now I heard my wife. I heard her. I heard sort of, we had a moment, and I sort of opened my eyes and realized, oh, she's really kind of serious about this, and me being a little, pig-headed about, as though I had been made some kind of promise that was being violated, and that's not really the case. I just, that if I have to sort of, maybe that's a confession of my own, one of my own personal flaws, I guess, or something that I know is something that I have to be mindful of, is that I can get very sort of locked in my thinking at times, and I'm not easy. Again, life is change. We all know that. Life, if there is anything, nothing is consistent in life but change, and I accept that in sort of a grand scale, but it's more on the being nimble in the day. I don't like people that break plans. I don't like having plans change at the 11th hour. I don't like people not showing up for things, doing what they say that they're going to do, and then do something else. I don't like I don't like the menu to change. If you tell me, if I get my mouth set for Italian and at the last minute you say, hey, we're going to do barbecue or whatever. I mean, those I just, and it's not to say that I'm insane with it, I'm just saying, like that throws me for a bit of a, I sometimes bristle at those kinds of, abrupt changes. And so, I think I was a little bit stuck in that kind of a mode with regard to, being sort of myopic about wanting to, hey, wait a minute, we were going to do a lengthy, idyllic tropical beach life. And now you're saying you want to be open about moving all around the world. And now I'm very much in the other mindset. Now that's awesome, and we're going to be in Japan for a little while, and then we're going to, and then who knows from there. It may be that we'll be in Japan for a lengthy period of time, or it could be that her opportunities open up and we end up in Europe some places. And I think that's obviously, very cool in and of itself. The climate change is going to be super, super abrupt, right? Again, we're here warm and tropical. It's in the mid 80s every day, just about. And again, most days, unless it's, super rainy, you can go to the beach. And in Misawa is in the Amori, and I may be saying that, I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but it's A-O, is it A-O-M-O-R-I, Amori Prefecture. Which is, again, the sort of, prefectures are, I don't know if they're exactly analogous to states or to counties. There's something like, the Japanese geographical designates, they're a little elusive. I don't know if it's exactly analogous to a county or a state, but the point is it's sort of a large region in the north part of the main island, right? So there's this large island, which I believe is Hokkaido, and then Honshu, I believe, is the name of the primary biggest island of Japan, of the four major islands of Japan, the one where Tokyo is, and the majority of the land is on Honshu, I believe is the name of it. And so it's the northern prefecture is Amori, which includes Amori City, includes Hachinohe is the largest city that will be close to where we are, in a very small town called Misawa, where there's an Air Force base that's, I guess, a joint Japanese and American venture, and we'll be living there. So that, and we'll be living there in again in this northern part of Japan that gets the literally, we're to understand, the most annual snowfall of anywhere on the planet, which is, I wouldn't have known that was in Japan. So it's everything about it is an educational opportunity. It's amazing for our son, again, who is now, he'll be turning, as a matter of fact, we'll be flying, I believe, on his birthday. He'll be turning 4 years old, literally as we land in Japan. And so, yeah, we're super excited. And it's an amazing opportunity. So, again, so this, and I was thinking about this. So that's kind of my message, I suppose, for this particular vlog is, it's echoing things that I've said before, but I think it, it sort of illustrates a point about. And I was thinking about the Tool song. I'm a big fan of Tool, Lateralus. From at this point, it's they release their albums in a very, very slow drip, often almost a decade in between them, it seems, at this point. But the album, the song Lateralus, from, gosh, 2000, I'm not even sure, early 2000s at the most. And then I know they had the 10,000 Days album, and then they had an album here just recently, but it's, they've had like 3 albums since 2000 or something like that. Anyway, the Lateralus, the song Lateralus, I was thinking about those lyrics and how, I was a huge fan of their previous album from like 96 or 94. I'm not even sure when, but the Enema album, and they're sort of like an angry youth energy in that previous album in Enema, and in their earlier work that matured in Lateralis, and that I didn't. like all of the, every album, and I guess it's, like with any band that you really, really love, and maybe you might immediately love the new stuff, or it might take you some time. And I think, with if you, for me, I do prefer, I like the contemplative nature of the lyrics, and so, I think that there's some processing that goes on. So I don't know that, I think that, maybe I wanted more of what we heard in their first, in Undertow and in their first EP and in Enema, and then you hear the new stuff and it's like, it's a little bit different, it's an evolution, but it's like, well, this is really good, but it's not something that, now I think that's my album. And this, I don't know. I mean, maybe they've sort of peaked with that. I don't know. I'm not a music critic at all. I know that as I was taking my walk this morning, I was really sort of in a meditative state about the song Lateralus and its sort of message. If you know it, it's the one where it's, I'd advise you to listen to it. Again, I was even looking at the lyrics for it and thinking, man, this is like really my mindset right now, is exactly that song. It is about, embrace the random, embrace whatever may come, spiral out, it's, that is the absolute mindset that I'm living in, and I find is I'm reaching, I feel like I'm reaping a lot of benefits from having that mindset of sort of embracing the adventure and embracing the unknown and not being attached to outcome and as to what life has to be, that I want to project my agenda onto life as much as, and yet getting everything out of life that as I never have before. And I suppose to some degree or other, it's a mode that I've been in since my divorce in 2015, and how I've approached, relationships that I've formed, and again, here I am deliriously happy, in a wonderful marriage with a little boy that I love. He's happy and healthy, and his parents are, madly in love with one another, and life's pretty damn good. And yet I've got a lot that I'm looking to achieve in my livelihood. Right, and this is part of this is part of my exploration of myself as a creative, right? So I'm bringing, so what is this all? It's All Comical is all about. My work as a writer, my work as a graphic novelist. I will say that even as there has been, again, I had a tough latter part of the week. Earlier in the week, I got to, do some really great things, even to help out my creative partner with the graphic novels. I'm working on a thing called Windy City. I've teased this before. I'll talk about it a little bit here quickly. It's a dark noir sci-fi take on the Untouchables. It's Al Capone versus Elliot Ness and Dark Forces. And to say much more than that is to give away spoilers. But we're super excited about it. My wife, who's a very long-time English lit teacher, incredibly intelligent and very knowledgeable about storytelling, obviously, having studied it and been such an avid reader her whole life, loves the story. So it gives, which is as good a authority, if you will, as I can, as I have in my immediate life. We'll see how it goes. And that's not to say that, because my wife loves it, that automatically means it's the greatest thing since, sliced bread. But, it's good to have positive feedback about it from somebody whose opinion that I really respect. I mean, it goes without saying that I respect my wife, but I mean I respect her as somebody who understands story and is practiced in literary critique and accomplished in that area. And so yeah, Bill has been working on some really exciting work building up the assets for it. He's working on style, and he's been creating those first initial pages and making a lot of progress there. He's working on our anthology, Nocturnity Blue. We have a story that will be our first release. We plan to give that away as kind of our introduction of our work to the world, but and setting the stage for our graphic novel work. So, we hope to get ourselves out there and established, and I ask you to, keep your eye out for that stuff. Nocturnity Blue, again, is kind of going to be sort of an anthology along the lines of like a Twilight Zone, kind of dark, twisted stories, of various varieties, some more horrific than others, some just more strange maybe than others. It's a little wide open, but we have our first several stories that to work on for that. So I've got the graphic novel, I've got the comic work. I'm working on. I do have a screenplay in mind. I don't want to say too much about right now. I'm also converting or adapting a screenplay that I wrote, a very sort of epic haunted house story that I'm thinking about turning into a novel, which is sort of backwards, right? You traditionally think about people adapting a novel to a screenplay, but this is adapting a screenplay and sort of expanding it into a novel where it may actually be a more appropriate venue for telling that story. So, lots going on, and I can only say that how blessed I am to have that opportunity to pursue all of this creative work. And this is in addition to, again, the animated Donnaverse, which is my fan fiction, totally non-commercial passion project, personal passion project. Is I have a screenplay that's a festival winner. And I'm excited, that I've had a couple of the cast members from Superman, the movie, the early Superman movies, who have read the script and have really responded very positively to it. And I'm looking to turn that into an animation, as the animated Donnaverse would suggest. And so, my life is so full, and I'm just, if I've got a message for you, it's, please be open. Don't be so attached to outcome. Don't demand that life be a certain way, that you've got so many rewards waiting if you're open to embracing the random, embracing what may come. Just not to say that you can't play a participatory role, or that but what it is that you're going to build for yourself is going to be a function of who you are in your essence, right? If you pursue what you love and you treat people the way that your heart really tells you that you should treat them, then you don't have to worry so much about outcome. Outcome will take care of itself, and it may surprise you. You may get things that are even greater than, that's the problem. Like, you may think, oh, I really want this and I really want that. But if you open your mind to, less this concrete thing that I want, and more, what does that concrete thing represent, right? A sense of wealth and a sense of well-being and a sense of, creative fulfillment and being loved and da-da-da-da. You'll find that you get all of that and more, and in unexpected ways, which makes it even more exciting than if you demand that life be a certain way, and then if you let your failure to achieve something absolutely specific and within a certain box that, I want to have this and I want to do that this exact way. yeah, I suppose then that does set you up for a bit more heartache, and it makes things, a bit tougher. It's not to say that those things aren't achievable, but I'm saying if you, sort of just set your compass and are aware that life is always kind of a little bit of read and react, right? That there's an element that is a bit out of your control, but if you embrace that randomness, that, what is, that, again, things open up in a lot of wonderful ways, and that your ability to read and react with your compass pointed towards your true north, and if your compass is true, and if your compass is authentic, you can expect great things. Okay, and so sort of final part of business, because again, this vlog really did begin. I like this. I'm talking about, again, from week to week, my own personal evolution, how it is that I'm trying to, and I feel like I'm getting so much more than out of life. I don't really have any complaints. I mean, things are really going so very wonderfully well, and I wish that for everybody. I mean, literally everybody. But sort of my, the structure for that, the measurable, if you will, is a weight loss effort that I began back in April. Again, I started at 265 pounds in April. That 265 is actually April 2021, and for my last doctor's weigh-in prior to the beginning of the outbreak, prior to when people kind of quit going to their doctors or doing much of anything. We were all been locked down, and just the ordinary doctor's visit kind of became less of a thing, or we stopped. Doctors' offices weren't open, right? So I haven't been to my doctor or a doctor, and I'll have a new one, of course, for quite some time. Didn't have, right, so my last one in whenever it was, end of 2019, was, I think, in high 270s, almost 280, like 279, 278, somewhere like there. So, I was already down 12 or 13 pounds, just having started to eat a little better, cut out double portions or whatever the heck. I certainly wasn't doing a lot as far as getting physical activity or anything, but I think I was just, just kind of being mindful about trying to eat a little bit less and trying to eat a little bit better, but in a very, very vague way. And that paid off to the tune, I realized that, the cliche over the course of the pandemic has been people locked at home and putting on a lot of weight. Wasn't really the case for me. I went from, again, 280 to 265, and I really hadn't stepped on the scale. But a little over 265, 265.2, I believe, was the weigh-in on April the 20th, and my wife and I began with the Noom app, and a really sort of concerted effort. And again, I'll continue to say this week to week. So Noom offers a number of things with their app, which is, a lot of metrics, your calories, your, what's your physical activity, you're weighing in day to day. That part of it has been extremely, I think, helpful as far as giving structure to this whole thing. And then there's this psychological program that it puts you through every day. You're going through these, what they call mini courses, and there are a lot of little articles that you read, and you're reading in response. Some of which has been very helpful, and some of which I think is off the mark for me. And so, that would be my critique, is I think it's a little presumptive, because it is something that's put together by a group of psychologists, and they're I think, proceed from a point of view that everyone that's carrying extra weight is necessarily burdened with a lot of psychological baggage, and that's why, and I don't, I'm not saying that I'm a perfect human being that has their shit together completely, but I think I'm a very, I think that there's some psychological parts of it that I can say, all right, that's something I can benefit from, but some of this other stuff is a lot of superfluous stuff that I not applicable. And so, some of that for me gets personally annoying. So take that for what it's worth. That's just my personal report about the effectiveness of Noom. And I think once we're through the Noom program that we've paid for, we've talked about maybe doing some other things that sort of there are other apps that will do that data logging part of things. So last week, I believe I said on the 20th, again 8 days ago rather than 7 days ago, that I was actually up a little bit from the previous week. I was 220 even, 220.0, down from the 265, so 45 pounds down 2 weeks ago. And then last week I had sort of a less good eating week. Less good, or worse, and off, whatever, right? Yeah, it was up a little bit. I mean, just a tick. It's like 221 or something. And this morning, though, 216.1. So, good week. I think, the weigh-in the previous week was a little bit artificially inflated. I think I had a lot of Asian food, which can have higher levels of sodium, so it was probably a lot of water weight. So I wouldn't quite say, oh wow, like a 4 or 5 pound loss. It was like, no, probably like just got rid of some water weight and then lost a pound or two. And the 216.1 was a pretty significant drop from yet. Again, we've been eating out a bit more as we're sort of winding things down. It's a little bit hard, not quite as tight. Sort of as you would expect, right? You're running around, you're doing things, you end up grabbing food out. And I also mentioned that we're sort of clearing out things that we've had in the freezer since before we really were watching our food intake. So some of those have been, some higher caloric choices. Is what it is. Anyway, thank you very much for watching me. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I really, as I said, probably won't have, almost definitely won't have a vlog next week. Probably not for a couple of weeks. So, for however long it is until I see you again, you have a great number of weeks. Thank you very much. Please like, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. Thank you for watching me. Until next time.